is the best legend in Apex.
Bang got nerfed pretty hard. Can we still play her?
And so did Cat, but is the Catalyst meta really over?
How OP is the new legend Conduit?
These are good questions, and I'm going to answer them because I'm going to rank every legend in Season 19. Let's get into it. Haha. Season 19 doesn't have any unplayable legends, but it does have some pretty bad ones. And starting with our two-time champion, this worst legend in the game, Ballistic. The sling, the coat, it's all bad. Ballistic is bad. His ult is decent enough and kind of useful for the team, but his smart pistol is really bad and easily avoidable. His sling third weapon is ridiculously gimmicky to the point where you forget to use it or forget that you even have it. The old man already needs a buff. Next up in D tier is Octane. Fun? Yes. Good? Not even a little bit. Octane will always have a high pick rate because he's fun, but he's been bad for multiple seasons. The stem is far too punishing to the point where his passive health regen is almost mute. The jump pad is fine, but loud. Octane is just down bad. Ashe. She sucks. Her kit is just overall underwhelming. From her reading death boxes to her ult, which doesn't go far enough, to her snare, which just isn't good enough. If they don't buff Ashe, maybe she should just go back to being the voice of arenas if they ever decide to bring that back for the 7 people that played it. Ashe stuck in D tier. And finishing off our D tier is Seer. Seer has went from the most overpowered legend in Apex to a bottom 5 legend. No legend has been nerfed harder, and everything about Seer now, from his heartbeat scan to his tactical, which barely stuns and no longer cancels res, is pretty bad. The only saving grace is his ultimate, which is not nearly as strong as it was, but it does have its usefulness. RIP to Seer, the most overpowered legend in Apex history. Next up is our C tier, aka the mid-tier legends, and what better way to start it off than with Wraith. She received a minor buff to her passive this season, so if you aim at her, she'll know a little bit quicker, but let's be honest, her tactical is bad. And I'll say it again, you love the idea of Wraith. She's the high school prom queen that shows up to the 10-year reunion 275 pounds. She's so far removed from season 0, it's insane. Her ultimate is decent, but her phase is terrible and will get you killed or followed and then killed. Please pick someone else. Caustic. The Gas Daddy is one of the worst controller legends. A huge hitbox that makes him an easy target, and he's only usable on certain maps. Caustic ults still remain very strong, especially indoors, and pushing a Caustic building can still be difficult, but other controller legends do just that with much smaller hitboxes. The only thing that keeps Mad Maggie from being borderline F tier is her tactical, because her Wrecking Ball is basically just a rotational tool, although it's effective indoors. Her passive shotgun perk is useless in an SMG marksman meta, but her Riot Drill, aka the Cover Buster, is one of the best tacticals in the game. Easily forcing teams off a spot, push buildings held down by controller legends. Unfortunately, that's not enough to get her above a C tier legend. She's mid. Gibraltar. Another big beefy boy with a big old hitbox. Easy shots. Listen, bubble fights are fun, but nobody uses shotguns, unfortunately, and nobody plays Gibby for that matter. Gibby is an easy target. His ultimate is still devastating in the open, especially when third partying, and his bubble is fine. Being a support legend is definitely a plus, but he is one of the worst support legends. Closing out our mid-tier C tier is Mirage. Support legends, in my opinion, are a must because of the huge buff that Respawn's got. Now when you get Respawn, you get your gun, as well as your shields that you died with, which makes crafting banners and respawns extremely important. With that being said, Mirage's decoy footsteps are laughably loud in a game with notoriously bad audio. His ultimate works really well against mid to lower tier level players, and his invisible res and the ally being cloaked for 3 seconds can make all the difference in a fight. Mirage used to be really bad, and now he's just mid. Well done. We're starting to get to the good legends, and starting off our B tier is Crypto. The respawn buff for Crypto is huge, as it's going to be a big deal to respawn allies remotely. Crypto's skill ceiling remains extremely high, which means his pick rate will always be low. But his EMP remains a counter to a lot of legend abilities. Unfortunately, his kit does require you to be stationary at times, but Crypto is a very viable option in Season 19. Vantage. Yes, her hitbox is huge, but she did get a buff to her sniper to 6 bullets, which is easy to use and excellent for third partying and entry damage. She is a movement character, albeit a bit clunky, and her passive, being able to identify shields and team size, is very underrated. Vantage is slept on, and I don't know why, but we're gonna put her in B tier. Newcastle. Large hitbox, bad voice lines, but still strong. Sadly, Newcastle is much stronger on M&K than controller, but this is a controller world, baby. His res is not quite as strong as Lifelines, as he has to stop fighting to get a teammate back up. But his mobile shield is great for pushing fights as well as cover to get away. His ultimate got a buff as you can jump even higher, and it's great to get out of jams as well. Newcastle is a very strong support legend. From support to controller, next up in B tier is Rampart. Another legend that is much better on M&K, as it's hard to take advantage of her wall placement buff on controller. Sheila is deadly, but not really practical in open space, as you're easily beamable. But nonetheless, she is a great controller legend. Her walls are good for quick cover to heal or to get a quick res, as well as to hold down a building. Rampart has came a long way since her initial release. Closing out our B tier is Watson, another legend with a high skill gap. Hard to play offensively, but an excellent control legend. With the Bangalore meta in full effect, her pylon is an excellent counter to a bang ult out in the open. Her fences control space very well and make you think twice, and can cause a team to redirect when they know they're there. Her passive shield healing is pretty weak, but understandably so, because if it was any higher, it would make her a little overpowered. Her skill gap holds her back and keeps her from being an elite legend, so we will keep Watson in B tier. We're getting to the cream of the crop, and starting off our A tier is Loot Mommy, aka Loba. Movement and infinite loot is a win. The longer you last, the more valuable she becomes, especially in rank. Smaller circles mean you're holding a spot for a longer period of time, which means Loba can get valuable resources. Loba's passive is okay at best, as it just represents a lot of visual clutter, and the bracelet is a bit clunky but movement nonetheless. But the value support characters bring this season is invaluable. Loba is really good. Next up in our A tier is Valkyrie. Listen, evac towers are not a Valkyrie replacement. Comment below whether you agree or disagree. Good players will shoot them down, and you don't get scans, which as the ring gets smaller is extremely valuable. Valk is still a movement character and a difficult one to go against when used correctly. Her tactical missiles are fine, if not underwhelming. Yes, her nerfs have made her a little less valuable, but Valk is still very strong. Just ask TSM. Pathfinder. It's really great to see Pathy in a great place after being so bad for so long. Holding him back is his larger-than-life hitbox, but loads of fun to play. A skirmisher legend with awesome movement to get in and out of situations. A slight buff in Season 19 should mean Pathys will have zip lines most of the time. Stick to cover, and you'll be fine with Pathy. We're glad he's in A tier. Lifeline. The only legend that can res 2 teammates while shooting your gun. Heal their HP while they heal their shields. Argue all you want about the old lifeline. Let's talk about her now. Her ult is useless past round 2, but she's also a support character, and a gold knock lifeline can be quite annoying to go against, especially when paired with a control character. Lifeline is still the #1 support character. From one of the worst to one of the best. Revenant. A nerf to the time extension on his ult doesn't take away the fact that Rev is really strong. His passive allowing you to track enemies that are low is a great team utility that leads to his tactical shadow pounce to jump on that enemy, but where Rev really shines is his ultimate. The extra 75 HP you get with his ultimate is a get out of jail free card that can allow you to get really, really aggressive. Although I don't like the type of selfish playstyle that this could potentially lead to, there is no doubt that Rev is a powerhouse. Next up in our A tier is Fuse. We saw Fuse shine on the grandest stage at ALGS, an absolute menace to control legends and in-game with his knuckle cluster. Now his ult does leave something to be desired, but Fuse is a one-man damage farm. You want to get a 4K, pick Fuse. Stack grenades with his passive and wreak havoc on enemy teams. Also, he has one of the best heirlooms. Fuse has no doubt earned his spot towards the top of this list. Horizon. Hard nerfs, still really good, just not broken anymore. No, you can't sit on grav lifts and pop a bat and just beam people, but you and your team can take height and pop a bat on the way up, albeit a little slower, so you have to be a little careful. The soft landing passive is still excellent, and the ultimate can be a problem with nades, especially with the Fuse. Again, Horizon, really strong, just no longer overpowered. Bloodhound, the easiest legend to learn and use, also a really good counter to Bang, and since Bangs will smoke, a good scan will help you see even if you don't have a digi. Bloodhound's placement is solely based on how often Bangalore is used. The Beast of the Hunt ult is a mid-tier ult, but its tactical is extremely valuable, giving information to the entire team. As long as Bang is on top, Bloodhound shouldn't be far behind. In closing out our A tier is our newest legend, Conduit, the best tactical in Apex Legends. Her passive is fine. Getting a speed boost when you're a certain distance from teammates can be useful, especially as a support legend. Maybe you can hit a different POI to respawn teammates. Her ultimate is effective if you catch someone in it, but the star of this show is the tactical. Giving your teammates temporary shields is a game changer for Apex. It totally changes the fight dynamic. Less resets mean quicker fights and less third parties. Conduit, a really, really good legend. Right out the gate, in my opinion, a must pick. This season, we only have 2 S tier legends. Starting off our S tier is Bangalore. Her kit was nerfed all the way around. Double time, nerfed. Smoke launcher, nerfed. Rolling thunder, nerfed. They even nerfed digi-threats. Her abilities are still strong and none of it matters. Bang is still balanced and still really good. The can't see anything meta remains, and Bang is an auto pick if for no other reason because everyone else is picking her. Was there really any doubt who the best legend still was? It's still Catalyst, guys. Piercing spikes, nerfed in every aspect. You can't shoot through them. You can't hide behind them anymore. The ult was nerfed. The amount of doors you can reinforce was nerfed. It doesn't matter. Catalyst is a little weaker, but still the strongest. No legend controls a building better. No legend controls space better. Catalyst is still on top for season 19.